My middle daughter is 16. She attends Hercules High School, and my youngest daughter is 12, and she attends Hercules Middle School. I've been a teacher for many, many years and a parent advocate and a parent volunteer, but my greatest role has been to serve as your school board trustee. Again, I want to thank everybody for this opportunity, and please feel free to always reach out to me. I am here to serve. I am complete.
Thank you, Ms. Smith-Folds. We will now hear from Guadalupe Enllana, running in District 2.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Guadalupe Enllana, and I am running for the WCCUSD Board of Trustees for area number 2. That's the Richmond area. I was born to immigrant parents who immigrated here from Mexico in search of a better life for themselves and their family. I was born and raised in Richmond, California, attended WCCUSD schools like Lincoln, Grant, Portland, and Kennedy. Now I'm a mom of 5 and a wife. I have 5 boys actually, and I have one that was that needed extra support, and he was special needs. I've been a strong education advocate in my community. I've been part of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee as a vice chair. I've sat on the DL CAPS. I am the current chair for the Children and Youth Oversight Board for the city of Richmond. I believe that my participation in these spaces has given me the opportunity to learn more about processes, budgets, and policies. I believe that Area 2 needs a stronger voice, a stronger advocate to voice our concerns on the board, someone who is willing to stand up and defend the rights and education of our children. I truly believe that we need to work in partnership, that we need to have parents and community members at the table when decisions are being made. And I believe that it has to all come together. We cannot keep inserting division when we're trying to build unification. So I am here running as a parent. I've been really motivated by the lack of involvement and the lack of transparency. So that's what brings me to run. I believe that, we can have an active voice and we could participate fully in the decision-making when it comes to our children's education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Enllana. District 2 candidate, Otheree Christian.
First, I'd like to say good evening to everyone, and it's good to be here to talk about the issues pertaining to the school district and in this race. I'm running for the West Country Casa Unified School District in Area 2, and I am the incumbent that's running to reclaim my seat. The things that I worked on before I even got on the board, I was actually, to say this, I worked at Otheree High School for over 20 years, working with our young people. I just didn't work with one particular group of young people. I worked with all young people from all national backgrounds at Otheree High School. And so, and with learning of all the things that were going on, that's what caused me to run for school board back in 2020. But I'm running because I care about our kids, and I really want to see our kids become successful and productive in education or the pathway of trades. I have a little niece right now at King School. She's in the 1st grade. And I, work closely with my little niece to make sure that she have the things that she needs in order to go to the next level. With that being said, my educational background, graduated from Howard University, graduated from Southwestern Christian College, and obtained my degrees working in the community, working with young people, and really seeing our young people to become successful, productive citizens. So my life history started in this district. It started here from King School. I was a King Elementary School student. I was an Adam Middle School student, and I was a Kennedy High School student. And so I am fighting for our community, for our parents, for our young people, to make sure that education is being delivered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Via Zoom, we have District 3 candidate Cinthia Hernandez. We'll now hear from her with her 2-minute opening.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to Zoom in. I want to introduce myself. My name is Cinthia Hernandez. I am the West Contra Costa Unified School District candidate for Area 3, which covers some of North Richmond, Richmond, and San Pablo. My story is deeply rooted in the community of Richmond and San Pablo. I'm a product of West Contra Costa Unified School District schools. I went to Perry's Elementary, Helms, Richmond High, and graduated from Vista High School. I am here because of my own experience as a student within the district, and also as a mother with a child who is autistic. I know firsthand the um, important it is for our schools are to be inclusive and fully equipped to meet the needs of every child in this district. I'm committed to ensuring that every student, regardless of background, ethnicity, ability, and learning style, has the resources and support they need to thrive within the district. I'm running for school board because I know we can do more to make sure our district is transparent, accountable, and centered on the success of all children. I will work to expand career technical education so our students graduating with particular skills and pathways to good jobs. I will push for budget transparency so our community knows how and where funds are being spent. And I will fight for supportive programs in special education, ensuring that every child in our district has the opportunity to reach their full potential, regardless of their ability or disability. Thank you for the opportunity to share my vision for WCCUSD and for allowing me to zoom in. As many of you guys know, I am a new parent to my almost 1-month-old baby girl. Her name is Layla. And thank you so much for allowing me to share space with you.
Fran, I was supposed to stop you 30 seconds in, like when you had 30 seconds left. I didn't know how to do that comfortably, so I'm gonna just interrupt you next time. Is that okay?
That is fine.
Okay, so I'll tell you when it's 30 seconds left. Okay, but I'm glad we got the baby's name, because I was wanting to know what the baby's name was. Okay.
Ms. Hernandez, since we have you via Zoom, I'm going to start with the first official question. I'm going to give that question to you, and it basically boils down to qualifications. Why are you running for the school board, and what are your qualifications? So you can expand upon what you were last talking about as it pertains to your qualifications. 2 minutes.
Yeah, as stated before, I grew up in West Contra Costa Unified School District schools. Once again, I graduated from Vista High School. I went to Contra Costa College, and transferred to UC Berkeley with a degree. I received a bachelor's degree in social welfare. I am currently working for the City of Richmond, Employment and Training Department with the Youth Works Division. I've worked with young adults ages 16 to 24 for I want to say all my life, because I actually grew up in this program. And once again, I am a parent of a student with a disability. My 13-year-old son is autistic. I have been an advocate for him and for others in this district and out of this district. When it comes to special education, we need to teach our families. I've learned that we need to teach everyone in our district to be able to be self-advocates. My community deeply rooted in Richmond. Once again, I grew up here. I attended schools. I've always kept up with the district. I had to make the difficult decision of making sure my son had a education and he was receiving the services he needed. And I decided to run for a school board because we need different visions coming in. We need to have policies and procedures set in place. I
Thank
didn't
you,
know.
Ms. Hernandez.
Sorry, was that 2 minutes? I can't see the timer.
Okay, moving along with the qualifications question. Mr. Christian, why are you running for the school board, and what are your qualifications? You can expand upon that if you will, sir.
Okay, number one, I bring quality leadership to the school board. I bring leadership because leadership is a key that, you're leading by an example, but also in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And a good follower becomes a good leader. And when you talk about building on things that I have been working on in the district, such as workforce housing, dealing with racism in the schools. We passed a racism resolution. As I look at, leadership is also to be able to stand up and stand for what's right. And also to show accountability and ask, that the district has, other words, the district needs to show a better, strong accountability. So a good leader is going to fight for the people. The good leader is going to fight for our students to make sure our students get the resources and the things they need at our school sites, and making sure that our teachers have the things they need in order to teach our students. So we have to, as a leader on the board, you have to be dedicated and committed to make sure that that this district or our students in this district will be able to have the mindset to build on the things, knowing who they are as people. So I'm running to empower the mindset of our kids. And so it's a whole lot that goes into it. I look at working in the Oakland School District as a substitute teacher, teaching in a classroom. That brings leadership skills because you have to know how to navigate and how to be able to work with the students in the classroom and how to be able to give them the things they need. So leadership means a lot. And so you have to come to the table with great leadership skills. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. District 2 candidate, Ms. Enllana. You can tell us a bit about your qualifications, why you're running, and what your qualifications are.
So why I'm running because I want to see a change in the education system. I want to see a change in the way that we as parents are able to participate when it comes to the decision-making of our children's education. I'm also running because I grew up here in West Contra Costa. I attended these schools. I know what it's like to be a child in these classrooms. As a child having to support my parent because she was primarily a Spanish speaker, having to be her interpreter, supporting her while navigating the education system because there was no supports in place. That's what brings me to the table. Now, having children in this district, having a child with special needs and having to guide myself in how do I support my child for his education, really maintaining that, it has to come with systems in place to support us parents. That's why I'm running, because I've been part of the processes. I think what gives me, what also helps me is, that I am a lifelong learner. I've sat on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee to learn more about the bonds and what the impact of that on our, in West Contra Costa. I've sat on the LCAPs working with parents, to find out more about that system, really seeing things that we can expand on and things that need to be worked on. I've been the chair for the Children and Youth Oversight Board for the city of Richmond for the last 4 years, really making sure that we are approving grants that are going to support children, not just in our community, but also in our schools. So having that experience and having that knowledge of not just what's going on in our schools, but really what's happening out in our community, the work that I do on a daily basis to ensure that we're building bridges from the inside of our schools out into the community and vice versa, because this is a team effort. This has to be something that we're doing together.
Thank you. Ms. Smith-Folds.
I spoke about it in the introduction. I'm running because service is my oxygen. This is what gets me up in the morning. This is what keeps me up at night. It's serving children and it's being in the service of the community. So that's why I ran in 2020. That's why I decided to run again in 2024. My qualifications, I'm a teacher. I taught English and history for many, many years, starting in Alabama. My qualification is I'm a parent. My qualifications is this district told me no more than it told me yes, but then I found a way when I'm advocating for my students and other students in the district as a parent volunteer. My qualifications is my yes and my no is my no. My qualifications are I'm dependable. My qualifications are if there's a meeting, I'm probably at it. My qualifications are I am transparent and honest. Honesty and transparency are different things. Honesty is if you ask me a question, I tell you the truth. Transparency is I tell you before you ask. So those are some of the things that keep me qualified. I'm not afraid of accountability. I'm not afraid to hold myself accountable first and then hold others accountable after that. I believe that I sit in a space of privilege. It's a privilege for me to be able to go and volunteer at schools every day. It's a privilege for me to be able to hold this space as a trustee, and I don't ever take it for granted. I'm humble enough to know that I can be replaced, but I'm wise enough to know nobody can do it like I do it. I'm complete.
While you're up, we're going to run with question number 2, and it pertains to priorities.
We forgot Cynthia.
Cinthia was the first one on this one.
Priorities. What are the top priorities for West Contra Costa Unified School District?
So the great thing about priorities is the alignment. We have a strategic plan that our superintendent put in place. The board voted on it, and that holds our priorities inside of that. The superintendent's goals, evaluation goals, are tied to the strategic plan. The LCAP is tied to the strategic plan. Our school plans for student achievement, they changed the name, but the SPSAs are tied to the strategic plan. Everything's tied to those goals. So we have goals in the strategic plan like achieving students. We have goals that say a safe learning environment, right? A safe and productive learning environment. All of those goals are seen in every different part of the district. And that keeps us all going in the same direction. It holds us to that accountability that we talked about, because you cannot have a school plan that's not tied to the superintendent's strategic plan, because it all has to work as one. So those are how the goals are met. Those are how we hold the superintendent accountable to those goals. And that's what we're supposed to see when we walk into a classroom, when we walk onto a school site. We're supposed to see those goals living. But we also have to understand that all of those documents I talked about are living documents. So if we want to go back and revisit, we can go back and say, you know what? What do we think about changing a goal to look more like X? And once we change it one place, it has to be changed all the way through, so it shows up in the classrooms. I'm complete.
District 3 candidate Cinthia Hernandez. What are the top priorities for the West Contra Costa Unified School District?
So the top priorities that West Contra Costa Unified School District has been focusing on is equity and inclusion, ensuring that all students, regardless of their background, ability, and socioeconomic status, have access to high quality education. This includes addressing system disparities and fostering a more inclusive environment, as well as academic achievement and literacy, emphasizing and focusing skills, especially in literacy. As well as career technical education, expanding their CTE program to offer students more opportunities to pathway to higher wages, social and emotional learning, and mental health, prioritizing, mental health services and social emotional learning for students, and providing resources not only for the student, but overall for the families and those students, those individuals involved in the student's life, as well as budget transparency. The district has to maintain that transparency around budgeting and the process, and ensuring that financial resources are allocated in ways that are supporting our students and families, as well as our teachers.
Thank you. Ms. Enllana, what are the top priorities for the West Contra Costa Unified School District?
Well, first of all, I think from last time to this time, my top priority now is hiring of a superintendent. So really making sure that when we're talking about the next person in charge, that he is aligned and that we are giving him clear direction, that we are starting off by giving him the feedback that he needs and the expectations that we have for the work that needs to be done. Really setting those standards high, supporting him while he or she acclimates to this new position, but also, like I said, starting it off with a clear direction. I think sometimes those lines get mixed up. I think on the second hand is the participation of community when it comes to the hiring of the superintendent, making sure that we are an integral process of that hiring, that they are here to just not just deliver to the board, but also deliver to the parents and the community. That we are setting clear guidelines on the educational outcomes that we have, and that, you know, we talked a lot of, well, Jameela brought up a lot of the strategic systems in place, but it's not just enough to have system in place. We actually need to adhere to these systems. We need to have clear oversight. We need to have that transparency. And I think until we get those things right, then we can actually have a thriving district. So we really need to focus on that, the expectations that we expect transparency, that we want to be part of the conversations, and that, you know, we want the best outcomes for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Enllana. Mr. Christian, what are the top priorities for the West Contra Costa Unified School District?
Yes, like my colleague already said, it's the strategic plan and how the strategic plan navigates our school district. I can say as the board, we meet in retreats to discuss, and we put things together and we outline how we're going to affect the whole entire district. Strategic plan is made of many areas. And so we're dealing with emotional learning, dealing with safety, you're dealing with all the issues, such as illiteracy, and making sure that illiteracy is being equipped across the board. And so I'm happy to say we worked on a strategic plan. I'm not, just getting into it. We've been into it to make sure that it's well put together. But now that we know our superintendent's leaving, retiring, we will have an interim superintendent will take the place and take the realms of what we already put in place to follow that through. And then when the search go out for the next superintendent, then we will have the community involved, every stakeholder involved, the teachers, the parents, the classified staff. Everybody will be involved in the next choosing of the superintendent. So the strategic plan means a lot. Can I just share this with you? I subbed over in Oakland on this past Monday and Tuesday, working with a third grade class, where the third grade class in Oakland school system, I saw the students were struggling. One student said to me, "Mr. Christian, I cannot read." That says a lot. Well, if that student said it over there, then I'm sure over here in this district, it's the same thing. So what do we have to do? We have to build and equip every aspect of our students in this school district. Thank you.
Follow-up question for you, Mr. Christian. I'm going to start with you. You touched on it a bit, and this question pertains to literacy, early literacy support. How will you support the use of evidence-based reading instruction strategies to ensure all students are proficient readers by the end of the third grade? Beyond third grade, what additional strategies will you advocate for to support continued literacy development in students, especially those who struggle with reading?
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that question. And it breaks my heart when I see students are struggling and they cannot read. Well, we got to do a better job. That means we need some services to wrap around these students and have coaches that can actually help students in the elementary level to bring them up to a higher standard. And it's sad that a lot of our kids go through school from elementary and get into middle school and do not know how to read. Well, reading is a fundamental. So we have to go back to the basic foundation. If we do it right and build a foundation right for these youngsters, for our young people, then all of our young people will be successful. So we have to do due diligence. And that's usually why it goes down to the strategic plan, that we're making sure that things are being pushed and that is being getting the resources going to our teachers, that teachers can help our students. So we have a lot to do. This didn't happen overnight. A lot of our kids been failing over the years. But what are we going to do about it? As a board member, as your board member, I'm going to put all of my energy and drive into making sure that these kids, our kids in this district, will become a better students and productive students. So with that being said, we got work to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Ms. Hernandez, I'm going to pose the same question to you, and I will read it again. Early literacy support. How will you support the use of evidence-based reading instruction strategies to ensure all students are proficient readers by the end of the third grade? Beyond third grade, what additional strategies will you advocate for to support continued literacy development in students, especially those who struggle with reading?
Yes, so we have to make sure that we adopt a structured literacy approach. We have to advocate for professional development for our teachers in this literacy technique, seek programs in providing success rate, as well as promote data-driven instruction, ensure that all schools use a valid, reliable screening tool, that it's the same all across the board. If our district is going to adopt for example, the iReader, to monitor literacy progress, all schools in the district must use the same in order to be able to collect that data accurately, as well as increase access to literacy coaches and specialists. We need to advocate to hire more literacy coaches and reading specialists, especially in schools with the low literacy rate, so we can ensure that our students are receiving that support, and also provide family literacy programs, advocate to develop a family workshop or resources for families that are able to adopt this at home and support their students. In order to continue, supporting our students, we need to make sure that we continue to collect data even past the third grade, and providing them with the literacy coaches, and providing them with the opportunity to receive support after school. This is a way that we can continue to monitor those students who are not reading at grade level and need that additional support past the third grade. As a mother who I have an 8th grader who's reading below grade level, I know the importance of making sure that our students are at grade level when it comes to reading, because reading is everything, and they will be successful. They will not be successful if they're not understanding the material. And I know that we continue to, advocate for a curriculum that is fit, that is not one shoe fits all, that is able to be adapted to each student.
Sorry, friend, that's your time. I'm so sorry. I was so paying attention to what you were saying. That was really good. Sorry, your time's up.
Sorry.
Well, Ms. Smith Folds, since you're on the mic, I'll read the question again for you, so you have it all. How will you support the use of evidence-based reading instruction strategies to ensure all students are proficient readers by the end of third grade? Beyond third grade, what additional strategies will you advocate for to support continued literacy development in students, especially those who struggle with reading?
So the district had a literacy subcommittee, and the literacy subcommittee it had teachers, it had parent, it had community members, it had some of the experts in the room, and the job was, it had a board member, and the job of that committee was to look at all of the research based on how do you teach a child to read, right? And when we were in that committee, we looked at the different methodologies about teaching a child to read. And then we dove deep into that data, what would work best for WCCUSD. The first thing that I would advocate for is bringing that subcommittee back, having them come to the board and give a report on what we determined would be the best way to teach kids how to read. But reading is a skill. It's a skill that's acquired through different processes. First you may learn phonics, or you may learn sight words, or you may learn this. But what the superintendent has told us, because this is one of the goals in the superintendent's evaluation, is there's a 30 million word gap. When some kids come into TK, they're already 30 million words behind, not knowing. So I think one of the avenues to helping our children read by third grade is educating our parents on the necessity of get some books in that house. No matter if they're reading a magazine, a graphic novel, if they're reading the back of a cereal, box like we used to because we couldn't watch TV while we were eating. So we did that to entertain ourselves. To make reading you have to make reading important. One of the other things that I would like to advocate for is to make sure that we have robust libraries that have many different types of reading involved in them. We need to not shy away from comic books. We need to not shy away from graphic novels. We need to not say that's not reading. All reading is reading. And we need to party in our progress. We have some really good gains in TK in kindergarten and first grade. Now, how do you keep that momentum to when they're in third grade, they're reading at grade level? And how do we actually approach those students who are out of third grade, who are not reading at grade level? It's going to take a lot of work, but it's not impossible. I'm complete.
Thank you, Ms. Folds. Ms. Enllana, I'll read you the question once again. How will you support the use of evidence-based reading instruction strategies to ensure all students are proficient readers by the end of third grade? Beyond third grade, what additional strategies will you advocate for to support continued literacy development in students, especially those who struggle with reading?
So first of all, we need to direct the superintendent to create and implement an evidence-based roadmap across all schools. Focusing on littering from pre-K to the 12th grade, using iReady to analyze to see where our students are. Also encompassing professional development, staffing specialist curriculum, and teaching methods, enhancing support for struggling students. Having reading support teams. I think Jameela brought that up about the support teams that we need, and really fostering the love of reading, from early on, making sure that our kids have access to books, making sure that they have access to reading materials. All kids learn differently. So some really have to be visionary and some have to hear things. So I think really encompassing the why we need to speak to our children with the correct words, educating our parents around how to speak to our children early on to support their reading. Also, really focusing on the most needed subgroups, what are the subgroups that are struggling the most, making sure they have access to preschool, to transitional kindergarten, making that an option, making sure that, that we are putting revenue into those systems and making them accessible to our community. I think the literally has to start, early on, but it's just not something that we have to focus on when we're talking about our children. We also have to, like I said, bring in the parent voice in, making sure that we're actually educating our families around the importance of reading, reading in any language. I think sometimes we focus a lot on, reading in English, but I think reading is reading. So making sure that whatever language they're reading on, that they have that comprehension, that they are working their minds, that they are understanding, because whatever we're doing is not working, so we need to change it.
Thank you, Ms. Enllana. So we've touched on reading. Now for the bonus round, we'll touch on math. This question pertains to math teaching and learning, and we will start with you, Ms. Smith-Folds. The question is, how will the district prioritize mathematics teaching and learning despite the sunsetting of one-time funds like educator effectiveness and learning recovery emergency block grants?
I think one of the things that we have to do in this district is walk and chew gum at the same time. So we need to focus on literacy, English comprehension, math, science, and history. But when you're talking about math, if you ask students, the biggest thing they tell you is, I can't do it. Well, that's a belief. They believe they can't do math. And if we have teachers, strong teachers in the classroom who can knock that belief down by scaffolding, showing different ways of doing it, adding manipulatives, there's a variety of ways to teach math that we need to incorporate into our schools. Math now is taught hands-on. So you build a block building and then you learn about area, right? It's not what we had to do, which was pencil and paper only, but it's different ways of teaching it. So we encourage our teachers through professional development and through collaboration where they're talking to each other about how are you making sure that this lesson is getting across to kids. But we also move math into the 22nd or 21st century, and you say, what does that technology look like? How are you building 3D diagrams? How are you using STEAM when it comes to math. Math is just not isolated. You will see math in science if you're doing science well. You'll see math in English if you're doing English well. You'll see math in music. You'll see math in poetry when you're doing the haiku. Math is everywhere. We don't need to make it a scary, isolated thing. We need to make it something that becomes intrinsic to kids, right? You cannot go, I bet they'll know what 50% off means. That's math, right? I think they understand what it's like, how you tip 15% when they become a waitress. That's math. So how are we bringing the real world into the math classroom? The other thing we have to do is talk about financial literacy, because you cannot talk about math unless you're going to bring in financial literacy. And that's what the state says. You have to have a financial literacy class before these kids graduate in a couple of years. Current sixth graders have to take financial literacy. So math is here to stay, and we've got to start loving it and stop being afraid of it. I'm complete.
Thank you, Ms. Smith-Folds. Ms. Hernandez, same question for you. How will the district prioritize mathematics teaching and learning despite the sunsetting of one-time funds like the Educator Effectiveness and Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grants? Ms. Hernandez?
Yes, I want to piggyback on what Ms. Jameela Smith-Folds said. You know, we have to encourage the the integration of math into other subjects like science, technology, even social studies. Math, we use it in every subject, just like Ms. Jameela Smith-Folds said. We have to make sure that we train our teachers across subjects to include math concepts in their lesson plans. Also, we need to encourage, math mentors. Have our teachers work, like Ms. Jameela said, have our teachers work together across different subjects to see how they are supporting their students and if they're integrating these math lessons. Again, we have to think about a strong math curriculum to continue to support and think of ways that we can continue to have these math coaches and literacy coaches continue to be in these classrooms to support our students, finding funds to be able to support them. Um, uh, I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Enllana, how will the district prioritize mathematics teaching and learning despite the sunsetting of one-time funds like the Educator Effectiveness and Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grants? Ms. Enllana.
Well, I think, as a parent, I don't know the answer to that. And, we have to remember that we are not getting that information, that we are not collaborators when it comes to, the teachings of our children in school, and that everybody's doing something different. So unlike the other board members who have the experience, who sat on the board, who are making these decisions, as a parent coming in, I'm really thinking, what are we doing? How are we supporting, our children? I believe that, Jameela, let's say strong teachers, how are we supporting our teachers to be able to teach, these things in our classes? What supports are there in place? How are we monitoring, our children's outcome? Where is it where the children are lacking? What are they having difficulty with? Where's the data to support that? I think that comes with like that transparency piece of how do we do things, and if I, as a parent, as involved as I am in this district and have been for many, many years, can answer some of these questions, how do we expect any other parent to come in and answer these questions? So I think it's really difficult when you're bringing things up, to the table where some of our trustees can't even answer those questions, can't give clear direction on this is what we're doing, and this is how we're doing it, and this is how the community comes into play. So for me as a parent, and as an upcoming board member, hopefully I could bring that to the table. How are we now making sure that there's actual accountability and there's transparency and that we're working together to improve our children's education? I'm complete.
Thank you, Ms. Enllana. Mr. Christian, how will the district prioritize mathematics teaching and learning despite the sunsetting of one-time funds like the Educator Effectiveness and Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grants?
Yes, thank you. Math is fundamental. And one of the things we got to do as educators, as the board, we have to make sure that the resources are there in the elementary level. If the students do not learn the basic foundation when it comes to reading, math, writing, English, making sure all the basic things. But math is a fundamental. When I look at math, when you learn the basic addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, multiplying, learning those areas where our students can engage, but also you have to make education fun too, and actually demonstrate and kind of be innovative on how, because everybody learns differently. But once you get the light bulb of a student turned on, you can't turn it off. So we got to turn on the light bulb of every student in our district. And also like our parents, to be able to provide resources. And that's the reason why we have community schools. Community schools is a vehicle to wrap around services for our student and parents to bring in the resources to help them. And also as we get funding from the state and using that funding specifically to help our students. So when I look at elementary, we need some coaches. We need some coaches that could be able to be there to help coach students one-on-one, to help them see that he or she can achieve their goal in learning math. And I look at math, when you look at the Aztec and the pyramids, that's math.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. I'm going to start with you, Ms. Hernandez, on this next question, and we're talking about very fundamental and foundational things. This question pertains to pre-K and transitional kindergarten support. The question is, what steps will you take to expand and improve pre-K and transitional kindergarten programs to ensure they provide a strong foundation for our youngest learners? Ms. Hernandez.
Sorry. Am I unmuted? Yes. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm muted. So we need to make sure we conduct a need assessment, prioritize, how we can identify the need of our community. It is important to have the pre-K and transitional kindergarten for our families. It is essential for the math and literacy skills that they need to receive, as well as, we need to advocate for policies in not only in the district, but in the state level in order to be able to prioritize the expansion of transitional kindergarten as well as preschool. It's necessary, of creating a robust foundation for early learning that supports smooth transition, greater readiness, and strong family engagement. That's one of the priorities of, I see that in order for us to be able to expand, we need to go on data-driven needs assessment, and the need of our families.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Mr. Christian, same question for you. What steps will you take to expand and improve pre-K and transitional kindergarten programs to ensure they provide a strong foundation for our youngest learners?
Thank you. The pre-K is very important. If we, start off right in engaging our little people and helping our little people to see themselves that they're capable and able to achieve goals in life. So when you look at pre-K, that right there is the beginning stage. And then when our kids get to kindergarten, learning the basic from the alphabet, learning all the necessary things to be able to comprehend those things. And that's just why we have to work with our students in groups and one-on-one. It's called an investment. We have to invest into our young people. If we invest into them, our young people will turn out to be very strong as they move along throughout elementary school. So we have a lot of work to do, and issues like this just didn't happen overnight. but we have to correct these issues. We have to correct them. And that's, as a board member, that's what we've been doing over these last 4 years, correcting a lot of the things that were done from the past to make it better. But it takes a while to undo a lot of these things because a lot of the stuff been going on for so long that, you have to tear it down and rebuild and do it right. And so that's what have been doing as the board over these last 4 years. And that's the reason why I'm running here in 2024 to finish the work that needs to be done to help our students to go to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Ms. Smith-Folds, what steps will you take to expand and improve pre-K and transitional kindergarten programs to ensure they provide a strong foundation for our youngest learners?
So the state told us to do TK and then they didn't give us resources. So now we're trying to implement something that we don't have the funding for. So what I will do as a board member is work with other board members to bring this issue back to the board after we hear from cabinet about things like facilities. Are our facilities ready for TK? Well, some of them aren't, right? If you go to the bathrooms are not made for TK bodies. TK bodies are this big, right? The bathroom stalls are this big. The placement of some of our classrooms are not functional for TK, for little people to be able to navigate that system. So what I can do is make it a conversation at the board level, so then we can then listen to the experts in the room and say, okay, how do we fix it? We know there's a problem. We know that the state told us to expand TK. What do we do? Now, we have a fabulous preschool program in the district. Absolutely wonderful. Well, what lessons are we taking from the preschool and implementing into our transitional kindergarten? And then how are we bringing the people who teach these little people to the table and say, what do you need? So it's about asking the question and then being able in a space to listen and then direct. So again, the state told us to do something, didn't give us the resources to do it. And now we have to be innovative and creative with how we have to supply our students with what they need. And I also volunteer in TK in kindergarten a lot of the time. So those are absolute heroes. I'm complete.
Thank you, Ms. Smith-Folds. Ms. Enllana, what steps will you take to expand and improve pre-K and transitional kindergarten programs to ensure they provide a strong foundation for our youngest learners?
So first of all, is making sure that these programs are accessible to our families, having quality educators well-trained in early childhood development and appropriate practices, implementing research-based curriculums, social emotional development, and having early on skills around literacy and math. It's gonna be really essential that we focus in on these programs that we're trying to implement and that we're implementing really early on with the supports in place to support the needs of our students. Really engaging, I think, in the early conversations with our parents to show them as well the importance of early interventions, getting them up to date on where their children need to be and what we need to do to move forward is going to be essential. Having conversations with teachers and really having them work together with a system in place that they can actually come together and work on systems that can work for these classrooms, having data-based oversight in the classrooms, like what are we doing? How can we replicate it in other schools? And how can we get that work done to move forward, especially in the early stages of education for our students?
Thank you, Ms. Enllana. By my time, I have 6:52. Now, it's our intent to wrap this up at 7 o'clock. So by virtue of the rudimentary math education that I received from what was then the Richmond Unified School District, we've got 4 candidates. We've got 8 minutes. 2 times 4 is 8. We should end at 7 based on that mathematic formula if everybody sticks to 2 minutes each. So with that, Ms. Hernandez, we're going to start the first 2-minute wrap up with you. 2 minutes. You're muted.
I am so sorry. Thank you all for allowing me to share space with each and one of you. I want to leave you with this. I am here because I believe in the potential of every student in West Contra Costa Unified School District, and I believe in the power of a united, transparent, and forward-thinking school district. As a daughter of immigrants, a mother of a child with autism, and a former WCC student, I understand the unique strengths and challenges our community faces. I'm committed to ensuring that every student, regardless of their background or needs, has the opportunity to succeed in a safe, inclusive, and well-resourced environment. I'm ready to bring my experience, my passion, and my deep dedication to the school board to make sure that WCCUSD works for all families, for all students, for all teachers and staff, and the future of our community. Together, I know we can build a brighter, more equitable, and success district. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Ms. Smith-Folds.
Thank you, everyone. I want to say thank you for another 4 years, allowing me to work on the school board and be part of your governance team. It again is an honor and a pleasure of a lifetime. I want to just touch on some things that I forgot. The math program that we do have in the district, we have ZERN. You will never see more math than if you go to an elementary school book fair when they're trying to figure out if $20 can buy $100 worth of books. And we have to say, nope, we will help you with that, but this is what it looks like. Same thing with teaching them tax. They don't teach them tax, but we have to teach them tax. One of the priorities we talked about was the strategic plan. And another priority in this district that I'm very proud of is our anti-racism work. We have done just amazing strides in this district to talk about anti-racism and not only talk about it, but put it into action. And we are one of the very few districts in the state of California who's done that. So that is a true feather in our cap, and it's something that we should be proud of. The other thing is when we're talking about literacy, some of the candidates talked about family literacy. Absolutely. We have to make sure that we're making literacy an entire family joy and a family issue and a family concern. You do still need to read 30 minutes a day. Students, if you're listening, and parents, you need to read to your students. They are never too young to be read to. They actually enjoy it, and you can be a better person. I want to thank this district for pushing me to be a better version of myself through all the public comment, through all the discussions, through the cabinet meetings, to having meetings with board trustees. This has made me just a better person, and I'm happy that I get to do it for another 4 years. And I know that at the end of 2028, I'll be better than I am right now, and hopefully better to serve you, because that's my ultimate goal, is to be in service of all of you. I'm complete.
Thank you. Mr. Christian, 2 minutes.
All right. First, I want to thank everyone for being here this evening, and I appreciate being up here on the panel to share the reason why I'm running for a school board. I'm running because I care deeply about our school district. I care deeply about all of our kids in this district, and I really want to see our district become a better district. I'm happy to say we worked on environmental safety and facility modernization, and especially Upstage Elementary School. We're working on that to get that rebuilt. I'm happy to say that the advocacy for educator support and staff stability. I'm happy to say that I have, we worked on financial responsibility and strategic planning. I'm happy to say that we are involved in the community school and leadership in time of transition where we are now. And as we move towards our interim superintendent, I'm happy to say that I have been part of all of these things. And not only that, but I carry with myself of all the experiences and learning that I've learned over these 4 years, and that I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to be ready for the next term, and because there's a lot need to be done. And I want to finish the work, seeing Stige get rebuilt, seeing Kennedy High School rebuilt, and Richmond High School rebuilt. And also, I'm happy to say, with all that being said, I have worked diligently hard in the community. So I'm gonna close with this. I'm supported by the Democratic Party. I'm supported by the United Teachers of Richmond. I'm supported by Teamsters. I'm supported by all the labor groups. I'm supported by State Superintendent Tony Thurman. I'm supported by Nancy Skinner, and I'm supported by a host of many other people from the community who believe in me that I will get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. Ms. Enllana.
Okay, well, let me finish off by standing up. I'm gonna follow Jameela. Once again, my name is Guadalupe Enllana, and I am running for the WCCUSD Board of Education, Area 2. That's the Richmond area. I'm a parent. I'm a fierce advocate. I am a community builder. I build bridges, not burn them down. I bring people together, not pull them apart. I really want to amplify that voice, the community voice. I am here. I am a independent thinker. I am not tied to a group or special interest. I am here for our parents, for our community, and for our students. I am the one that is not gonna sleep through board meetings. I am the one that's gonna come prepared. I am the one that is gonna support our children, amplify the voices, and really bring what we've been lacking on the board, and that's transparency, and that's the camaraderie of we have to give and take. I think we have to learn how to work together. I think we have to put things to the side and not take things really to heart. You know, we're here to work together and whatever capacity that is. So I am looking forward to your vote. I am looking forward to great things to come. I think we need new direction, new leadership. That's why I'm stepping up to the plate. You know, when it comes to who supports me, my community supports me. I've been endorsed by many local leaders, by people that I'm working with on a day-to-day basis, by teachers, by individuals who believe in me, who believe in the work that I can bring to the table, and know that I am a strong advocate, that my yes is yes, that my no is gonna be a no, but I'm never gonna abstain. Because if we keep failing, we're gonna fail our students, we're gonna fail this education system, and we need to be part of the change, and I am that change. So vote for me on November 5th.
Thank you, Ms. Enllana, and I'm pleased to say that the math actually worked out. We want to extend a special thank you to the League of Women's Voters for West Contra Costa. Their president, Cheryl Collier, is present tonight. We also want to extend a special thanks to the West Contra Costa Unified School District. The school superintendent, Chris Hurst, is present tonight, and he also is a hands-on superintendent. He was our official timer this evening. And then a real big thank you to our community advocate, Don Gosney, who once again has videographed this event tonight and provided equipment to help make it even run more efficiently. So thank you to Don. So this concludes our final West Contra Costa Unified School District Candidates Forum. Thank you to all of you who are in attendance this evening. We're done.
Are you getting an official picture? Okay. Director for us, you can get an official picture. Don's taking one, you can take one also.
I get to get in the picture too, man.
Cinthia is gonna stay online, and then you're gonna take it. Don't get it. Oh, I took mine out of the.
It's okay, you can hold up.
Yeah. Totally taking mine.